Hello again, comrades. It's the Yellow Demon talking to you today about timecode, transcriptions, iPhones, DSLRs, and regular old video cameras. So I want to talk about the need for transcriptions because after filming for a couple of months, you usually get what amounts to dozens, if not hundreds of pages of transcribed discussions, interviews, chats. And it's important when you're using Inkscribe and transcribing that the clips have unique time codes so that when you're looking up something later in your collection of transcripts, you don't find what you're looking for, but it just has timecode 00000. It's much more helpful if it has something beyond that, a unique number that is very easy to find. So that's what I want to show you today. So we'll go to Premiere and I'll share my screen. And here we are. Okay, so I have created a new project, which I've named iPhone DSLR and NXCam, which is the name of the Sony camera that the department has. And I'm going to start with iPhone. So I shot a couple of iPhone clips this morning, and I'll drag them in here. And I'm going to also drag them down here. Now, in doing this, I have created the timeline in coordination or in conformity with these clips. So let me show you. The timeline has, it's the sequence, and let's look at what these sequence settings are. Notice that the width is 608, the height is 1080, that's right. But I want to just make a little bit of changes here. I'm going to make it 30 on the nose, 30 frames a second, 30 frames a second, da 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 da. And when I do that, it's going to say, oh, is that okay? And it is okay. All right. And now the next thing I want to show you is by hitting the effects, grabbing my favorite effect, timecode. It has become a favorite today. I could have done them in both. Well, now just do it in the one here. So we come up here. Now look, it wants iPhone to be 60 frames a second, but it's not. It's just 30 non-drop frame. Okay, so 30 on the nose, not 2997. And I'm going to make this big enough to see for our demo. And I'm going to make it no opacity. And I don't like that little doohickey there, so I'm going to get rid of that too. Okay, so and notice the time code is a little weird, but we're going to hopefully take care of all that weirdness. And I want to take the time code from here. So I just Command C, copy it, go here, select this. Notice there's no time code now, and I'll paste it, and then we get that too. Okay, so far so good. Let's not worry about anything except the fact that we have some time code at all now. So we go back now to the two clips, and we do our magic. So let's start with this one. I'm right-clicking it, modify, okay? Right-click, modify, and we start with interpret footage, okay? And we don't want 2997, we want that this frame rate is 30 frames a second. Okay, on the nose. Okay, 30 frames a second. And then we go to timecode. And I want to have my alternate timecode, which is 1. We're going to put 1 hour there. So you can put up to 18 hours. So why don't we make it 02 just to demonstrate to you that it's working. And the time display format is going to be 30 frames a second. Okay. And boom. So we, for reasons I don't fully understand, it takes a certain amount of convincing. So we're going to go back, modify timecode, and see. I can't say why it does that, but I'm going to do my thing again. 02 colon 00 colon 00 colon 00. Okay, now it's behaving itself. And this has the same kind of weirdness here. I notice that it's saying, right, it's 26. Look at the time codes here, 27, 28, 29, and boom, right? So it's 30 frames a second. If we change that, it would be 60. We don't want that. Okay, and now let's go to this one, the coffee. I'm right-clicking, modify, interpret footage, and we want 30 frames a second again. And our time code is going to be just, excuse me. Let's make it just the same. 02 colon 00 colon 00 colon 00. Okay. And so now we're looking at this. And again, for non-drop frame, okay. We just have to go back up a second time. I wish I knew why. And see, it's doing it. It has something to do with drop frame, but I don't know exactly what. Okay, now, so, and we have 02 going blah, 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 and 2:06:28. Now comes the last part of the combination. This was 06:28. Now I want 06:29. And this is the coffee one. Oh, 6:29. So it's going to roll blah, 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 6:48, 9, 8, 9. Okay, there. And I'm going to, it's doing what I want. It's got a time code that I can see. And if there was any transcript, I'd be able to see that time code while I'm making them. I'm going to put my out mark there, Command M, QuickTime. I guess we'll just do what we're familiar with. So that's back to yellow. Okay. Meanwhile, we're going to go to DSLR. And the fact is that DSLR, every time you turn the camera off and turn it on again, it starts back with timecode 000 in the same way that the iPhone does. Okay, so we don't want that either. So let me show you how to fix that. And I'm going to drag these two DSLRs that I shot this morning in here. And I'm going to drop these guys down here. Now here it's asking, should we change the sequence settings to match the clips? And we should. Let's go up and take a look at the sequence settings. Notice, let's make these guys exactly 32, but notice this is 1920 by 1080, 1920 by 1080. Okay, so my camera, my Canon 80D, actually shoots 1920 pixels across. As it turns out, the video camera at school doesn't do that. It stretches some, but this camera does. So that's what we've got. This is right. And we'll say OK. And we have changed it, though, to 30 frames a second. So let's do what we did before. We'll drag in the time code. OK, so this one, we'll go back to our project, clicking up here. We've got these two. And yeah. So let's go and do the same thing we did before. We right mouse, modify, interpret footage. Okay, so again, we're saying 30 exactly. Okay. And we go to time code. We want alternate time code. And let's make this 05, hour 5, we'll say. And yes, and yes. So hour 5. So notice that it's done that screwy thing again. It's changed. So we have to tell it twice. We don't want 18, we want 00. Okay, so 50000. And we'll just go to the end. 5 hours, 25 seconds, and 29 frames. Ho ho. So the next one would be 5 hours, 26 seconds, 0 frames. We need to make it exactly 30 here. And this is going to be, going to go down to the alternate. Got to wake that up first and go down here. Five hours, 26, 00. 2600. So that if we go back one, come on down here now. Go back 1, 25, 29, 2600. Huh? Let's just export it. To summarize, in Inkscribe, when you make your transcripts, you want them to correspond to unique timecode numbers. And except for fancy gadgets that we don't have, the only way that you can make your clips have new timecodes is the way I showed you. And when we move them into Inkscribe, you'll see that we're going to be facing yet another problem, which can indeed be corrected. And so I'm going to show you now how to correct it. Great. So notice that we have the Inkscribe is reading the time code as 00. But starting at 00, going up to 12 seconds later, okay? But the time code burn-in that I put is at 2 hours, which is where we want it. So if we send Inkscribe by this little button down here back to the very first frame, come down, and we type command : get, and we'll say first frame of orchid. And if we hit tab, it'll play, and can't hear it because nothing's going on, but there's my orchid. I love my orchid. Okay. And if we, it's gone to clip 2, and I want to get back to the first frame up. So let's see if I just get this little inching thing. Now I'm going to say first frame of coffee. Okay. So they're agreeing with each other, except that I want this to say hour 2. Okay. So now we go up to the InkScribe transcript, adjust time codes, and we want to make it plus 2 hours. Okay. This is if you just want to do a little part, but we want to do the whole thing. And we adjust, and now our time codes correspond to this. Now, if I print this out, send it over to Word, copy, paste, and put it in Word, my time codes will correspond in Word to the time codes that you see burned in Premiere. Of course, all you have to do is turn off timecode and it won't be burned in, but you can see it all the time, and that way you can find specific frames. Now I want to show you why the specific frames are important in the next demo. It's DSLR. And if I go to frame 1, and let's listen. Okay. Okay. Okay, I say. Okay. As soon as I hear it talking, hello. Hello. This is my first take. Okay. Hello. Okay, I got that. Put a new time code in and listen. And I just need to shoot a little bit of it to shoot. I just need to shoot a little bit of it to the time codes. Show you the time codes. And then I put a new time code when I'm done talking. All right, now let me go back to first frame of this one. Anyway, this is the first frame of clip 2. Okay, and when I hear sound, I'm going to make it go, and when I hear sound, I'll make it stop. And this, okay. And this, my second take, is my second. I just need to shoot a little bit of it. Review the time codes again. And what I do, I put the final frame too, last frame. Now, again, I want to do the same thing. I select it all, and I'm going to add 5 hours. adjust time codes. And I want to add 5 hours. So all of those should go to 5. The point is to have this for your transcript, okay? So that's it. We don't need it to work in InkScribe anymore. InkScribe has done its job. So we copy this, let's say, and we're going to go to a Word document. So the issue, as I said before, is that it's a lot of trouble, but it's less trouble in the long run, particularly if you're doing lengthy films where you've got hours of footage. You just can't have a million clips that are all have identical time codes. You need unique ways of identifying the clips, and if you use this technique that I showed of putting the alternate time code actually burned into the clip itself, then you can always find it and you can have a much better workflow because you'll know exactly where a certain either image or piece of dialogue occurs. Okay. Morning has come to planet Yellow Sky, and I have one more thing I want to talk about, the NXCam, the camera that we use for normal old having a building, having a class, and whatever. And look at all these doohickeys, all of these buttons do all the things that people would like done. White balance, gain, preset exposures, audio controls, and guess what? Time code. And the camera allows you to set the time code that begins when you turn on, and it can either just constantly generate time code, whether the camera's on or not, or tail out at one time code and wait until you turn it on again, and then it picks up with the next frame, which is the system I use. It's less crazy making. So I want to just show you how much easier it is. And I'll go back to Premiere and talk a little bit about the advantages and how it works. Okay, so I'm going to share the old screen yet again. Okay, so here we have a sequence I've set up for the NXCam. That's a Sony camera. And I'm going to put in the clip I want to talk about. This is one of the 10 clips on this film about the focus group. Put it in there. Okay, give my discussion. And we'll just drag and drop it down here. I've prepared it so that it actually has two separate tracks, independent of one another, but that's not the issue for today. So we'll just here, you know, I'm showing them videos about other parts of Tanzania and HIV. They watch the videos and then they discuss the videos. This is a guy I've worked with many years on different projects. Okay, so as usual, we'll turn the time code on. So we go up to, I keep my effects buried in here, drag and drop the time code, click it. Here's the time code appearing now. Too small. So we'll make it 25 and get rid of that little field symbol, which doesn't do it any good. Make it 100 to be opacity to be able to see better. Okay. And then, and Simon goes on and talks and they respond. Okay. They're going to respond. Now, what I want to show you, so we can have this on or off, right? All we have to do is to turn it off. We just click the little off button. So this is just to keep us safe. Now, I have the transcript in here, which I've already made. So let me open that up. And get this out of there. So I just want to show you how I've done this, right? The transcripts actually got what? It's like 2,900 subtitles at about 2.5 seconds each, right? And it's actually something like 160 pages of transcripts. But the reason it's so long is that I have inserted all of these screen grabs, right? And the screen grabs have the time code. So hour 3, minute 3, second 40, 3 minute 3, second 40. We request that, and then here it is actually burned in. Now, notice that every time there's a new picture, there's a new composition. And this is really useful because much as I love editing, it's a whole lot easier to do a paper edit than to do a Premiere edit. So whenever the composition changes, this allows the transcript to show not only what is said to select the best words, but it also allows you to see what the composition is when that's being said. And so you can, here's Simon talking and talk. And then we know then somewhere around, see, Simon talks at 4 minutes 00. And then when this man starts talking, it's like a minute and 10 seconds later, we have a new composition. So see, he starts talking, Kikuya starts talking up here, but it's here 20 seconds later that we have his image. And so that helps you edit. Okay, I just want to show you one more point here. So if we go to this point on the time code, 3 hours, 48 minutes, right? This was, let's go down to 3 hours, 48 minutes. That yellow is, they're watching movies, and I highlighted what the movie's saying in yellow. Okay, 3:48. So here's Simon talking. $340.29, $340.29. Is it embittir? We'll just wait for that to be done. Life in the studio. Okay, so embittir, and then these Inkscribe can turn these into subtitles. Well, okay, for your purposes, you're not making subtitles, but for everybody's purposes, if I'm curious as to when the point was that Simon starts talking about embittir, which is a ma, and there's another ma, bitiai, and embittir, these are ma words for HIV, right? So I can do a search here in the Word document for embittir. It gives me 348.41, and then I can find it easily here. And that is the advantage of not only having a time code that doesn't give you any grief when it comes out of the camera, but also the advantages here in making your transcript correspond to the time code. So that is the last chapter of this. And I hope I've made the case that it's really a very useful thing to go to the trouble to type this stuff up, go to the trouble to have viable time codes, both in your paper copy, your transcript, and in Premiere where you can see it. And then particularly with long films, or even films that you have a couple of hours of footage, it saves an enormous amount of time in the long run. Okay. And good night.